Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, air, restoration, and flood services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit BillHowe.com. And by the Conrad Trebas Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Traffic is back to normal on Interstate 8 tonight after a series of fatal crashes led officers to close lanes for several hours. KPBS reporter Katie Anastas is live at La Mesa Police Department with what she's learned about the investigation. Katie.
Maya, I'm standing outside the La Mesa Police Department where law enforcement and La Mesa residents have been coming by to drop off bouquets of flowers. That's after a series of crashes last night left 2 people dead, including a La Mesa police officer. Officials say a driver lost control of a vehicle around 10:20 last night. That driver struck another car, overturned, and stopped in traffic lanes. Then another car struck the original driver. La Mesa police officer Lauren Craven was driving by and stopped to help. That's when a 5th car struck and killed her.
The officer encountered this traffic crash, and just based on instinct alone and what we've signed up to do, she exited her vehicle to provide aid at what she saw was a tragic incident, and unfortunately laid down her life while she was performing her duties.
The first driver also died. 1 person is still in the hospital. 3 others have been released. Police closed the eastbound lanes of Interstate 8 for nearly 14 hours as they gathered information about the crash, towed the cars, and cleared debris. Williams says police are still investigating what caused the crashes. He asked anyone who witnessed them to call the CHP's San Diego office. The La Mesa Police Department says Officer Craven was 25 years old.
Lauren was a light. Her positivity was immediate and genuine. Whether helping a colleague, answering a stranger's question, or stepping up into a difficult case that she was working, she led with compassion, courage, and professionalism.
Williams and Sweeney are reminding the general public that if you see a law enforcement officer with their lights turned on and pulled over, that you should slow down and move aside. Live at the La Mesa Police Department, Katie Anastas, KPBS News.
Thank you, Katie. No one was hurt this morning when a pilot landed his small plane on the shore of Mission Beach. First responders say it happened around 11:30 when the plane landed on the sand just north of Belmont Park. Victor Schneider was at the controls. His daughter Jennifer was his passenger. They say they took off from Oceanside for a trip to Point Loma and back. About 15 minutes into the flight, Victor says the engine failed and he quickly looked for a safe place to land.
The thing is, you want to put it down where it's safe, and I didn't want to hit anybody. So fortunately, there wasn't that many people on the beach. There was only about 4 people within about a quarter of a mile, so they were all widely spaced, so it left me plenty of room to put it down without endangering anybody. That was my main concern.
Made the decision, we saw the wonderful long runway here, and with his skill and expertise, he landed better than on pavement. Praise God, everyone on the ground was safe. He waited and passed a lady and said, well, we'll just try to find a place where there's no people, and he did, and so here we are.
And Schneider says he's a commercial pilot and has been flying this small plane for over 20 years. He says he doesn't know what caused the engine to fail. The Camp Pendleton Marine who died in a helicopter crash last week has been identified. It happened during flight operations in eastern Imperial County. KPBS military reporter Andrew Dyer has more from the newsroom.
The Marines this week identified the pilot as Major Tyler Bricconi. He was 35 years old and a California native. Bricconi earned his commission in 2012. He flew the AH-1 Viper attack helicopter. Viper's a twin-engine, two-seat, modernized attack variant of the Vietnam War era Huey. Bricconi and an unidentified co-pilot left Camp Pendleton on Thursday. A Marine Corps spokesperson says they're participating in a training exercise. They crashed in an unpopulated area about 40 miles northeast of El Centro. Bricconi's co-pilot was taken to a hospital in Palm Springs in stable condition. The cause of the crash is under investigation. In the newsroom, Andrew Dyer, KPBS News.
San Diego County firefighters will soon have their first night-flying water drop helicopter. The County Board of Supervisors approved $38 million today for the purchase and upgrades. The helicopter will be operational by next spring.
It's really an opportune time for us in the shadows in the evening and the early morning hours to get these aircraft up. And we've also found that in some cases it's easier for the pilots to see through the smoke at night with the night vision goggles and kind of the orange glow from the fire. So it has proven highly effective.
The county has been relying on aircraft from outside agencies like CAL FIRE to make overnight water drops. San Diego County is notifying CalFresh recipients that they may not get their November benefit payments on time. The delay will happen if the federal government shutdown continues past Thursday, October 23rd. CalFresh is the federal food assistance program, also known as SNAP. It's also commonly referred to as EBT or food stamps and is 100% federally funded. Nearly 240,000 households in San Diego County receive CalFresh benefits based on their income. Day 21 of the federal government shutdown, and so far operations seem to be running normally at San Diego International Airport. KPBS reporter John Carroll spoke with one traveler about their experience going through a TSA checkpoint this morning.
The expanse of the new Terminal 1 seemed somewhat empty around noon on Tuesday. The lines at the various TSA checkpoints were short. The few travelers in line were moving through pretty quickly. Downstairs at baggage claim, we spoke with Dharav Patel. He and a companion had just flown in from Boston, and he said it was the same situation there.
It was perfectly fine. We didn't really experience any delays, anything. We got through security within 10, 15 minutes probably, and we were good to go.
The airport chose not to make someone available for an on-camera interview, but they did issue a statement which says, in part, operations at the airport continue normally, and they anticipate all federally related staff to remain on duty. They also say all other functions are expected to operate normally, with the caveat that checkpoint wait times and flight scheduling are up to their federal and airline partners. Even though Patel says things went smoothly in Boston, he did notice that the TSA agents did not seem happy.
The people that we were interacting with were very friendly, but we did notice that morale wasn't as high as it typically is.
And with all those employees expected to miss their first full paycheck this weekend, how long things remain like they were today is anybody's guess. John Carroll, KPBS News.
Security was tested in a big way at America's busiest airport this week. Coming up, we'll have an update on an arrest made in Atlanta, where police say they stopped a potential mass shooting. Seven in 10 Americans believe the economy is headed in the wrong direction. KPBS Public Matters reporter Amita Sharma recently spoke to Daniel Enemark, chief economist at the San Diego Regional Policy Innovation Center. He discusses the job market, worrisome economic indicators, and positive steps local government is taking in fixing the housing crisis.
How much of what we're experiencing right now is due to the natural ups and downs of any economy, and how much of this is self-inflicted?
Well, we know we had a really dynamite job market before COVID, and then we had the sharpest and highest increase in unemployment in history. And then we went back to a really strong employment environment, but we went back down to a very low number, and we've been going up since. That's probably a business cycle thing. And it certainly predates Trump's policies, which many economists might say are kind of a self-inflicted wound in terms of tariffs, in terms of the amount of deficit spending that we're anticipating taking on with the One Big Beautiful Bill. But the decline in the labor market predates that. So, I would say most economists might say this is kind of a natural business cycle thing. If you're more conservative, maybe you say Bidenomics has ruined the country. Assigning cause and effect is really difficult.
What needs to happen to turn this around?
In the U.S. overall, we need stability. When the economic environment is unstable, people decrease their spending, people and businesses. So you see employers are not hiring. You see families are not buying cars or houses or whatever because they don't know what to expect in the future. And it's dangerous to invest in the present if you don't know what the future holds. So we need stability. For example, if you want to implement tariffs, at the very least, implement them all at once and kind of irreversibly.
Do you see any indications that any of what you've outlined should happen is going to happen? I say that I just interviewed some San Diegans who are so affected by what's happening politically and economically that they are delaying having kids, buying a home, retirement, big purchases. What does this say to you?
I think that locally, there are a lot of really encouraging efforts underway to address some of our biggest challenges. I know that, local officials across the municipalities and at the county are working really hard to catalyze the housing construction that we need in the region. Folks at the county are thinking very carefully about how do we spend our rainy day fund and how do we address the drop-off in federal services that's likely under the One Big Beautiful Bill, right? I'm really encouraged by the local efforts, and I am discouraged at what is coming out of the federal government. Shutting down the federal government is not helpful, and cutting people off from basic benefits who are struggling to make ends meet is not helpful. And so if you want to stimulate the economy, you need to make sure that the lowest income families have the resources that they need, because not only is it the morally right thing to do, but those people are going to turn around and spend that money on food, on clothes, on the things that they need, real necessities.
Daniel, thank you so much for speaking with me today.
Thanks for having me.
And that was Amitha Sharma interviewing economist Daniel Ennemark for Public Matters. It's a partnership with KPBS, iNewsSource, and Voice of San Diego. You can see more of our stories at kpbs.org/publicmatters.
We will have a bit of a cooler night out there, but a more significant cool down will really be felt once we get into the day Wednesday. When temperatures fail to rise, it's going to be a really significant cool down for us. But tonight, getting down to around 62 in San Diego, 61 Chula Vista. Into the inland areas here, we have Borrego Springs at 58, Mount Laguna 48, and Campo dropping only to 46. You'll really notice the cooler air during the day Wednesday. And coming up in a little bit, we'll take a look at when we could see a few sprinkles.
We're learning more about an alleged threat against a major U.S. airport. A man was arrested and a rifle was found in his car. As Michael Yoshida reports, family members are being thanked for the tip that led to the arrest.
Billy Joe Cagle arrested Monday inside Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, accused of threatening to, quote, shoot it up.
This crisis was averted, but this individual did have a semi-automatic weapon.
Officials say family members of Cagle warned police he was armed and heading to the airport. Police say Cagle didn't have a gun on him when officers confronted him inside the terminal, but when they searched his truck parked outside, they did find an AR-15 assault rifle.
There were 27 rounds that could have been fired from this weapon inside the airport. We're here today briefing you on a success and not a tragedy, because a family saw something and said something.
Atlanta's mayor said Cagle had mental health challenges. A friend says he spoke with Cagle on Sunday because he was concerned about some of his recent social media posts.
You know, people go through things and people deal with them differently, and unfortunately, Billy, may have made a bad decision here.
Atlanta's International Airport is the busiest airport in the world, with more than 108 million people flying through in 2024. Police say Cagle seemed very interested in the TSA check-in area, which was heavily crowded at the time.
There's always going to be soft, more exposed areas of an airport as you go to the hardened part, which is, of course, the TSA line. That area is going to be the most congested because people are going from free flow to secure flow. And there's always going to be a buildup, and that's always been a worry.
In Washington, Michael Yoshida, KPBS News.
A recent court ruling poses a new challenge to redeveloping San Diego's coastal areas. A state court has reinstated the 30-foot coastal height limit. Twice in the past 5 years, voters have approved ballot measures that excluded the Midway district from the 30-foot height limit, and both times judges have overturned the measures. They ruled the city failed to adequately analyze the environmental impacts. City officials say an affordable housing element would still allow the Midway Rising project to move forward. Mayor Todd Gloria plans to appeal the latest ruling. We have an update on a story we brought you last night about the due process and safety ordinance that went before the San Diego City Council. After a lengthy public comment period, members voted unanimously to move the ordinance forward. It would prevent San Diego law enforcement agencies from joining certain federal task forces. Council member Sean Elo Rivera says the proposal is in response to more aggressive law enforcement we've seen in recent months by the Trump administration. A second vote would be needed to formally pass the item. A YMCA pool that was shut down during COVID is back open for business. KPBS North County reporter Alexander Wynn says it's because of a $1 million partnership with the Escondido Union School District.
Kids splashing around and playing in the pool is a common sight in Southern California.
I like going to the pool a lot.
But fifth grader Leonardo Moreno didn't get a chance to go to the pool a lot last summer because he was sick.
Right now, I do have a chance, and I'm glad for it.
Escondido Union School District incoming superintendent Andy McGuire says that's what the program is about. It's giving kids who don't normally have access to pools a chance to swim and learn water safety.
So we started working with the YMCA and partnership with them and using some of our after-school funds to get this pool back up and running so that we could have our kids come over here for water safety and swim lessons that are provided by our YMCA staff that are in the pool with our students right now.
The Escondido YMCA pool was closed and in disrepair since COVID. The district used $1.2 million from the state's ELOP, or Expanded Learning Opportunity Program, to get the pool back in shape.
The community really wanted to get this facility back up and running, and we saw that also as an opportunity for our own students.
Because the pool is heated, McGuire says the program will run year-round.
We get to do fun activities in the pool. They taught us how to do scooping, like ice cream scooping. Like you put your hand like this, and then you do like this and this. It helps you swim better when you do like the ice cream scoopers.
Why is that?
Because it's pushing you more frontwards when you're putting your hands in.
The program will rotate between schools in the district, and by summer, it's expected to serve more than 1,000 students. Alexander Wen, KPBS News.
Well, we do have a big cool down coming, especially through midweek. So Wednesday turning much cooler. It'll be breezy with strong onshore breezes. And there may be an isolated sprinkle or two on Wednesday night. It doesn't look widespread, but a few of you may need to use the wipers just a little bit. Not tonight, but on Wednesday night. So tonight we'll get down to 62, partly cloudy skies. And you're going to notice the cool down. It'll be a much cooler, certainly a mid to late fall feel for a day or two on Wednesday. Better chance for thunderstorms over the Four Corners region and well to our north and northeast as well. But again, temperatures only peaking out around 70 into San Diego, 72 El Cajon. Borrego Springs enjoying some relief from that desert heat. 82 is as hot as it gets. Campo, 63. Mount Laguna down to 54 for your high. on Wednesday. So again, the chance of showers is very limited for us. There's a better chance up into the Sierra and even coastal central California. But with this increasing onshore breeze, Wednesday evening is the time when perhaps a little ripple of energy could bring us a few sprinkles. You can see that's off to the west during the day. But as that rotates through, small chance for a sprinkle or two late Wednesday night. Thursday, still relatively cool out there, not as dramatic with the cooler air as Wednesday will have been. You can see we're highlighting showers way to the east and thunderstorms into the southern plains. So for the coast, you're looking at highs down around the low 70s for a few days. Very nice weather here, a little bit warmer into Sunday. Inland areas, cooler down to 72 for Wednesday, back up to 82, warmer Friday, and then a little bit more movement on the thermometer, a lot of up and down here. Wednesday's the warmer day. For the mountains, we go from 54 to 56 Wednesday to Thursday, back up to 60 Friday, and then upper 50s for Saturday. A pretty nice weekend, cooler Sunday, though. And the deserts, only 82 on Wednesday, back up to 91 Friday, and then hovering back down into the low 80s come Sunday. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Jeff Cornish for KPBS News.
I'm Amna Navaz. Tonight on the NewsHour, President Trump's push to end the wars in Gaza and Ukraine faces hurdles. That's coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
CVS Pharmacies is working to resolve a computer glitch that affected customers today. The company blames a network issue. Some customers complained online saying they were unable to pick up prescriptions or get tests and vaccines. CVS is one of the top pharmacy retail chains in the U.S. with more than 9,000 locations. The company that produces Tylenol is pushing back on proposed changes to its safety label. The common pain reliever has been in the news due to the Trump administration claiming links to autism or ADHD in children. As Ivan Rodriguez reports, the company says the drug is one of the most studied medicines in history.
The current Tylenol label instructs women who are pregnant or breastfeeding to ask a health professional before use. The push for a label change came after President Trump, during a news conference, urged pregnant women who are in pain to try to tough it out instead of taking Tylenol. Last month, President Trump claimed without evidence that Tylenol use during pregnancy was linked to a, quote, very increased risk of autism.
You know, I'm just making these statements from me.
Since then, the FDA responded to physicians saying that the choice to take acetaminophen still belongs with parents, but that the use during pregnancy may cause an increased risk of neurological conditions such as autism and ADHD in children. However, the letter also noted that a causal relationship has not been established and that studies about a link are contradictory.
Anytime a different voice is added to the conversation, it causes a bit of confusion, especially if the messaging is completely different.
Dr. Brian Lee, professor of epidemiology and biostatistics at Drexel University, says while there is no debate that rates of autism diagnoses are increasing, his study published last year in the Journal of American Medical Association found that there was no increase in risk of autism or ADHD associated with acetaminophen use.
Acetaminophen remains the safest alternative for pain relief medication, and it's unclear what exactly would replace that.
The Informed Consent Action Network, an anti-vaccine nonprofit with close ties to HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., filed a citizens petition asking the FDA to add a more detailed warning to OTC drug products that contain acetaminophen. Kenview asked the FDA to deny the petition, saying the suggested label changes are unsupported by scientific evidence. The FDA website on acetaminophen has not changed to reflect the Trump administration's views. It says it was last updated in August and specifies FDA has not found clear evidence that appropriate use of acetaminophen during pregnancy causes adverse pregnancy, birth, neurobehavioral, or developmental outcomes. In Atlanta, I'm Ivan Rodriguez.
Artificial intelligence is becoming more of a tool and a concern in America's classrooms. Mental health professionals are warning parents and teachers about the potential dangers. Jen Sullivan looks at how AI is affecting the way teens form relationships and their mental health.
More
schools are using AI tools to enhance learning in the classroom.
Use of AI in schools is at record levels.
Elizabeth Laird works at the Center for Democracy and Technology. They recently conducted a survey asking public school teachers, parents, and high schoolers about AI use. 85% of the teachers say they've used AI in at least one way in the past school year. But here's where the survey turns alarming.
Only 11% of teachers say that their school has given them any type of guidance or training on how to respond if they suspect that a student's use of this technology, they're potentially using it in ways that could be detrimental to their health and well-being.
Nearly half the students reported they or a friend of theirs using AI as a friend and to get mental health support. And 1 in 5 students say they or someone they know has had a romantic relationship with AI.
The bad news is that the risks that we're talking about today, including students' potentially unhealthy relationship with this technology, are rarely covered.
The American Psychological Association says it's important to monitor children and teens' use of AI so we don't repeat the same harmful mistakes researchers say are made with social media. They recommend parents talk to their children about how they're using AI. Make it clear AI is not a substitute for real relationships, not all information is accurate, and review privacy settings together. For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
And we would like to take a moment to remind you about a recent KPBS digital series that touches on AI and parenting in the digital age. It's called Screen Time. The series features conversations, resources, and practical information about how to set healthy boundaries. You can find the Screen Time series at kpbs.org and on the KPBS YouTube page. Here is a look at what we're working on for tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom. An app that people could use to track ICE operations has been pulled from online stores. NPR's Morning Edition spoke to the app's creator. And best-selling Tuesdays with Maury author Mitch Albom is joining KPBS Midday Edition. He'll talk about his new book ahead of an event right here in San Diego. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, air, restoration, and flood services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit BillHowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.